I've always been fond of Toyotas because as a family we had quite a few growing up. Like my dad's second Prado, and even I had a 2003 three-door blue RAV4 as my first car, so I was pretty excited to jump back into one, even if it is a 5-door GXL two-wheel drive hybrid version. Stay watching to see how the rival for the Mazda CX-5 and Nissan X-Trail has performed over a week with my family of 3. How much does this cost? The GXL is one up from the base model and is about $44,000 before on-road costs for the 2023 version. That puts it on par with the nearest rival, the Subaru Forester Hybrid L, and about $5,000 cheaper than MG's HS plug-in hybrid. And as far as the hybrid market's concerned, this is a pretty respectable price tag. And if you're not fussed about having privacy glass, larger wheels or a wireless charging pad, you can save yourself around $4,000 by getting the base GX model, and it has the same powertrain. The full specs are in my written review at carsguide.com.au if you need more details. The tech is very Toyota. It's plain and simple. The 8-inch touchscreen multimedia system has been easy to use but is a little bit small for the market now. I have enjoyed having the Bluetooth connectivity and built-in satellite navigation. Our test car doesn't have it, but the 2023 GXL has wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and the USB-A ports that are here and in the middle console get upgraded to USB-C ports. The steering wheel feels great under my hands, and the 4.2-inch multifunction display is simple and not very customizable, but for the 2023 version, it does jump up to 7 inches. I really love how roomy the front is. There's plenty of head, leg, and elbow room up front. And in fact, my 6-foot cameraman had plenty of room up here, so taller occupants will find it okay. The storage up front is really good. I really like the shelf in front of the passenger, a little phone wallet cubby on the side for the driver, and a dedicated phone cubby with the wireless charging pad. It's been a while since I've been in a car with this many manual adjustments. The cloth seats are surprisingly very comfortable, but they do lack lumbar support and have manual adjustments. You won't notice it really until you're in a long trip where you might feel a bit fatigued. And while I do prefer to have an easy to clean trim, the cloth seats look quite nice and they have a pretty cool textured pattern on them, which is carried through to other portions of the car, like on the speakers, on little pockets in here and in the boot space. There's loads of headroom back here, but the legroom is a little bit tight. I'm 168 centimeters tall or 5'6", and I have an okay amount of legroom behind my driving position, but if you're taller, you may not agree with me. The seats are very comfy, but the amenities back here are a little bit lean. I do like the directional air vents and the 2 USB ports, but you only get one map pocket, and that's pretty much it for storage. Although the lower ground clearance did mean that my son didn't need help getting in and out, which is always a plus, and he enjoyed a great view out of the wide windows. But even he was saying it looks a little bit boring back here. But now I'm just sort of wondering if the little pest is a bit too used to top spec variants. With little ones around, I always prefer a hard kick plate on the back of the seats and a darker headliner, just because my kid seems to attract quite a lot of dirt for someone so small. Also, the middle seat, I would reserve this for sometime seats for an adult because I had my in-laws in here over the weekend and the comments that my mother-in-law made it feel like it's definitely not one you want to be in for a long road trip. There are ISOFIX child seat mounts on the outboard seats plus 3 top tether anchor points. You might get lucky with slim child seats to fit 3 side by side, but with my monster booster seat, not going to fit it. You do have just enough room for front occupants when a 0 to 4 rearward facing child seat is installed, but again, behind my driving position, it is bang on the seat. So if you're a bit taller, I'd be popping it on the passenger side. The boot is practical and offers 542 litres worth of capacity. Now that's a little bit small for SUVs of this size, but perfectly respectable, and I love the level load space. Very easy to slide gear in and out. It has a little pocket on the side for extra storage and a retractable cargo blind. Underneath the floor, you have a space saver spare tire, and this is reversible, meaning if you don't want the carpet for whatever reason, you can flip it over and get the hardier plastic. I did notice and miss a power tailgate this week, but The boot isn't too heavy to operate. The GXL's 2.5 litre 4-cylinder hybrid powertrain has a maximum 160 kilowatts and 221 newton meters of torque. I found it powerful enough that you could easily overtake when you needed to, but it doesn't feel like there's a lot of power in reserve when you have to put your foot down. The CVT auto transmission is a little bit clunky at lower speeds and when you need to zip around town, but it does smooth out once you get out onto the open road. It's also compounded by a noticeable switch from the EV engine to normal engine mode. The hybrid powertrain doesn't make a super refined driving experience, but it's pleasant enough for your A to B and open road trips. I like the higher driving position and the wide windows because the visibility is really good. Also, steering is really firm and makes you feel like you're in control. There's not a lot of roll either when you tackle bends, so that's a real plus. The ride comfort is pretty good in this, and the suspension absorbs the bumps really well. You're going to be comfortable. But when you go over a hard speed bump, there is quite a loud clunk sound, which doesn't affect the actual ride quality, it's just really loud. It's a very easy car to park. The dimensions are good for even a tight car park. But I didn't rely on the reversing camera as much as what I usually do because there's just something about it that threw me off spatially. And I also like to see on cars this side a 360-degree view camera come as standard, but the flagship, Edge and Cruiser models do come with this feature. Even though it's not a super punchy driving experience, the fuel economy is really good. The official combined fuel cycle is 4.7 litres per 100 kilometres and real-world testing saw my figure at 5.5 litres. That's fantastic, especially with the rising costs of fuel. Real winning feature. As far as safety features are concerned, this has some of the items that I like to see on a family car. And I always like to see rear cross traffic alert and check rear occupant alert when little ones are around. It has 7 airbags, but it is missing the newer front center airbag we're starting to see on newer models. And it also has a maximum 5-star NCAP safety rating, but it was done from testing a little while ago in 2019. The full safety specs are on my written review at carsguide.com.au if you need more details. The ongoing costs are pretty good for the RAV4. It comes with a 5-year unlimited kilometre warranty, which is standard for the class, but it also comes with a cap price servicing plan for up to 5 years or 75,000 kilometres, whichever occurs first. However, the servicing costs are only $260 per service, which is one of the best I've seen for this sized SUV. Servicing intervals are also reasonable at every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres, whichever occurs first. If you're not convinced that the RAV4 is going to fit your family life, Toyota does offer a dedicated rental service, which is a paid service through Kinto, but you can rent it for up to a year to see if it's going to suit your life. There are some things that remind you that the GXL 2-wheel drive hybrid is one of the cheaper variants for the RAV4 range, but it is saved by fantastic ongoing costs with the servicing and fuel economy. The interior is a little bit basic for my taste, but still perfectly serviceable and looks very nice. I would have liked the tech to be a little bit better, but it's easy to drive and my kid was relatively happy in the back seat. So this gets 7.5 out of 10 from us. If you're after more details, check out my detailed written review at carsguide.com.au and I'll see you next week.